Many people say that their lives ended in one day. I cannot tell you that, because since I was born, my life has been a fight for existence itself. A total war that I fought with soul, blood, tears, and sweat. And my friends, allow me to tell that story for you. A citizen's letter. My name is Daniel Humberto Casanova Ferrer, born on August 3rd, 2000, in Mérida, Yucatán, Mexico, and I am 22 years old at the time of the writing of this letter. I am Afro-Mexican and autistic, citizen of the United States of Mexico, who has suffered systematic discrimination for as long as I can remember from the people and the state. However, I have worked to improve myself daily, despite the racism due to my skin color, my ethnic origins, the rejection of my religious and ideological affiliations, and my autistic condition. I humbly request help with this letter due to the despairedness of my situation, and I beg you, with all due respect, for your patience, so you can hear my entire letter and understand the reason for this desperate request of help. I hereby request urgent help due to the hopelessness of my dilemma, considering that freedom, justice, and peace in the world are based on the recognition of the intrinsic dignity and the equal and unalienable rights of all members of the human family by virtue of their own equality and existence. I have come to work for the state as a high-performance athlete for the shot put, athletics, and judo teams of the state of Yucatan, where the only thing I received for my successes in bringing silver in judo was mockery, contempt, more racism, and serious injuries that I still carry today. And I have to leave the sport because the ableism of the team coach, that very person, and look for work as a miner, as a pack mule at the water plant, where my injuries, brave before that point, were magnified by labor exploitation in order to aid economically my family. It should be noted that, with respect to my family, I have lived in an austere environment because, with the exception of my mother, which I love with all my soul, my brothers, and my maternal grandfather, who was the father for me, and I miss him very much. My own father, biological, and my extensive family, from both branches, have always systematically denied my autistic condition and have tried to make me less, reaching the verbal and psychological, even physical violence against my person. We, as a family, lived for years in an extremely precarious situation, which is why I started to work as a miner, due to the situation described above, were hard times, and there were no help. Even with these difficulties that I described to you, I completed the high school course in record time due to the educational system we had in el Centro de Alto Rendimiento, and I entered the Universidad Autónoma de Yucatán, a prestigious institution in the fields of humanities and medicine, in the Bachelor of Social Anthropology on my very first attempt, a feat barely reachable for much people without attending the exam nor having more help than my mother's. studying the career despite living in Santa Cruz de Palomeque village, which, to be noted, is outside the city without material or financial support from anyone other than my mother, and not having a full vehicle nor the complete material means to possess independence of movement on a daily basis. It should be noted that Santa Cruz de Palomeque is a marginalized zone of the city, even considered a risky area surrounded by crime, insecurity, and mobsters that have been of such magnitude that certain services have not entered until recent times. Once again, reaching the 5th semester and losing that degree due to the lack of support from the university, the harassment of classmates and teachers on the campus, as well as the rejection and contempt of the people which I try to work with in anthropology, since they are an important part of the career, was to interview different people and different locations who flatly rejected me, exercising the free right to do what I please, guaranteed by the Constitution of the Mexican state as long as it is in the law. Seeing my future in danger and being so close to ending the career, and despite being a violation of my constitutional rights, I prefer to change my career for a history degree in order to save my studies, where I was immediately received by the flagrant and direct rejection of my fellow students, who otherwise, if they could, they would have done everything possible to get me dropped out of the career because of racism, classism, and other despicable elements. While attending classes at the Wadi campus on August the 15th, 2022, two cargo vehicles ran me at the Motul pedestrian crossing. There was an assassination attempt against my person because there is no chance that can ever occur that event twice in the same place. To increase the seriousness of the matter, right where I was run over by the cargo vehicles, there is a police station, and the officers in charge ignored me, not even trying to help me. I was in shock, stunned by the impact suffered, by the pain, the fright, and the policemen did nothing. They kept talking to each other and playing their cell phones, as if I were nothing, as if were no one screaming for help. They didn't offer any assistance, nor even calling an ambulance or stopping the traffic to catch the wrongdoers. No. They deliberately left me on the ground, but I stood on my own feet, and I rise and call my mother. I tell her I was right. That was my mistake. I hope that you can hear my emotion, not normal for people of my condition, where I was retelling the events happened. On the part of the university bureaucracy, the treatment has been horrible, terrible, with the exception of the coordinators who had saved my studies twice. But at that institutional level, they have been permanent hindrance to my right to quality higher education that time after time they have threatened to terminate my studies. Even at this point, only my thesis is missing, a subject only given once a year, and some other loose subjects. But I have had to suspend my attendance at the university on the explicit recommendation of my thesis advisor and my medical counselors, due to the injuries suffered and not having family conditions nor vehicle to attend. It should be noted that in both careers and whenever possible, I made the effort to take care of my average score, since even my compulsory credits exceed those of the necessary to pass the career in its entirety. Because one of my biggest dreams is to study abroad, far beyond the sea. But the wadi has been not an help, not offered an exchange that I could access, nor has it offered any scholarship or aid given in my material conditions. Hence, the complete incompetence of the medical authorities has been proverbial, giving me treatment that several times led to ineffective treatments and lousy service, worsening my physical and mental condition at the Instituto Mexicano del Seguro Social. I was hospitalized on 2 occasions, and the second times they almost killed me, because I have suffered an episode of dysautonomia, in which basically you are paralyzed while conscious. They admitted me at the emergency room on a litter that did not fit my size for 3 days, and because I measure 1 meter and 96 centimeters, roughly 6 feet tall, and I sadly overweight due to my injuries over years, even demanding of me that I stay longer, despite the fact that the pain scale was unbearable and clearly put my well-being at risk. After the first internation, therapists were urgently sent to me in the hydrotherapy and with therapeutic currents, but the T1 hospital unit in the city of Merida, which I live, they did not work and could only given through subjugate therapy, but these were denied due to the lack of budget and funds. It's worth mentioning that for several months they have brought to me from one appointment to other, from one doctor to another, without any really attending of my injuries and conditions until this last medical appointment. Well, to the time where I was writing this letter, but where I was seen by the orthopedist who finally treated me effectively. The news were very discouraging. The diagnosis terrible, telling me that my right shoulder it no longer has remedy because it is so badly damaged, and therefore my arm is being disabled more and more with the pace of time. If you keep hearing this letter, I have to ask you forgiveness, but the pain is extreme to me for thinking straight and clearly. I am currently waiting for a subrogated study to be authorized by 2 months, and I have not even managed to get an answer from the number they gave me to speak daily until the subrogated service is authorized, which in fact they have even today lacked the funds. Added to this, and reiterating that what I was previously saying to you, I do not have reliable means of transportation nor material resources to be able to regularly attend the therapies or medical appointments. Therefore, the attendance at this is a considerable effort and in much times even an adventure. And, well, that was a review of my life. We come to these days. My injuries if you want to know which are them, are as follows: dislocated right shoulder, severely damaged and presumed given up, a torn rotator cuff, fractured posterior barricade, joint wear throughout the body, dislocated jaw, fibromyalgia, disc disease, and herniated L3, 4, and 5 discs, as well as chronic muscle fatigue in the entire upper and lower bodies, inability to walk, sit, or stand steadily, and perform any physical activity that requires some effort, however small it is, as well as an extended neuronal affection that decreases my quality of life and has led to serious incidents regarding my physical and mental health. Due to the aforementioned damages, I am unable to carry out any procedure, both legal and civil, since my mother suffers from spina bifida, low back pain. Well, severe damage, to be honest, among other damages, as well to her nervous system damage due to different injuries in the life we had. For years, I have heard that the government of Mexico and various human rights organizations works on equality and the protection of minorities. But where is my protection? I started my process for my pension since 1219. For being autistic, I have not received nor heard any response for more times that I went for a multitude of reasons. They do not have system, they do not have energy, the person in charge is not there, and even that my folio did not appear, which I own, and etc. etc. For 2 years, 3, this one, I fought hard to access my study debit card, which was denied for the most absurd reasons until I received outside help from the bank at the university. Billions and billions of pesos and dollars even are spent on programs that do not benefit the communities, and when I needed it, because my own life was at risk, I have not seen a penny nor a cent. They strive to bring safety, but where are those who try to kill me? Free, because there is no other word that describe them. Well, I am cloistered as a young man without any vices, without any criminal record, an ex-sportsman and a dedicated person to my career as well. My project for my injuries. I do not have access to any quality service to attend my health, despite the services I have provided to this country, the nation of Mexico, few or many, and I only experience disdain and disinterest, contempt and rejection. Going out into the street when I can walk. Years in the past, I have even experienced acts of racism, unjustified xenophobia, because I was born and raised in Mexico, my beloved homeland, and discrimination because of my appearance by those who are supposed to be my fellow citizens. It's that the state of things you are creating? One where ableism is experienced because of not being neurotypical? Because to whom my concern, if that is the state of things you want to create, then I have to shame on the country which I live in, and the world in which I inhabit, since I'm clearly just an unwanted extra. For the folks that not experience this trying event in the first place, I congratulate you. Do not experience them. Are horrible. And for neurotypical and people that did not live these situations, you cannot imagine how difficult it is to try to go at university, that it's not suitable for people like me, that we must move closely in wheelchairs or with hypersensitivity because the architectural design never considered it, or to move in a city that it's not designed but not even remotely to meet these needs. In other words, my right to develop freely as an independent person within the framework of the rule of law in which I supposedly live, I've been frequently violated, both in the Mexican state and in the world. In short, to summarize it some way, my whole life has been about swimming against the tide of any kind of obstacle. Right now, my hopes of finishing college are distant at best and non-existent in reality. Not to mention resuming my life normally as it were. What I ask throughout this letter, if thus justice can be done to help me in this time of enormous need, by the virtue of what is established in the political constitution of the United States of Mexico, which declares that all citizens have the right to dignified life, as well the right of health, since what I live it's absolutely unworthy. To anyone who says he is an autistic and should be seen as mentally handicapped, I say, don't worry, I have been able to survive the attempt on my life. I have developed the skills of being a speaker for crowds, giving private counseling. I have done literally and audiovisual editing, narration, dubbing, in which you are hearing in this very moment, translation and writing. So, I am not an useless member of this society. Although I have not had a permanent job outside of the mule pack I have been, I consider myself a person more than capable of contributing to the growth of my country. But to do so, we must leave behind the eugenic prejudices of the last century. I ask all of you, with a humbly and respectful manner, for material and financial help to complete my studies, both medical and academic, to face the subsequent operations, most likely by a private doctors, and a decent job that I can do as well as, if anyone of this state, if wants to, a pension or an economic contribution that allows me to live a life in accordance with the principles, humanitarian, moral, and ethical, that my condition as a human being guarantees me according to the international treaties and the Mexican Constitution. The material help is mainly commissioning editing, writing, narration, and dubbing jobs, which are the ones in which I have developed the most through these years and require the least physical effort to carry them out, which would allow me to have a stable income within the job offer that they sent to me. Financial aid is donations to cover medical expenses that realistically could not be covered with the previously mentioned jobs because they require specialists for the aforementioned injuries and the mandatory operation that is planned to stabilize the shoulder, which, by the way, is extremely expensive, and the others too. I do not want, under any circumstances, to be treated as mentally handicapped because I am not, and I believe that my life, as you have heard, has been an example that I do not have psychological or psychiatric defects that prevent me from using my reason and exercise my intelligence. I'm just asking. Sorry, the emotion is hard to content. I am just asking from all of you an opportunity to improve my health and not to be evicted and forgotten, watching the light go by, having lots to contribute to the world. This letter is signed and had been narrated by me, Daniel Humberto Casanova Ferrer.